This is a very quick ChatGPT and the human resistance lesson. I just came up with something and I wanted to kind of show you guys in just this little quick thing, something that helps. So the evolution that we've had from me using ChatGPT to making GTP apps to Marla to this next phase that I want to talk about, it kind of demonstrates this whole idea that ChatGPT has not just the ability to give us all the ability to work faster and smarter. It just gives us absolutely new capabilities that we just didn't have. Like for me as a non-coder who's been in technology for years, this allows me to do things that I never kind of dreamed possible. And so I've been doing this for a couple of years, and this is kind of just what happened today in the latest part of the evolution. So to kind of take you guys back to the beginning, I have a special video on YouTube that talks about how I make these apps in GTP Maker. So as you can see on the screen is the app that I made. It's on ChatGPT, and I made a video as I made this, but it's called Drug Patents Kill Millions in Africa. And I have a whole video about that, so I won't explain it, but it's basically an app, and if you go to the GPT store, you can find it. So I talk about how I make it and how it's trained on a book called Genocide by Denial. And but then I talk about, too, when I made these apps, there was a huge problem, is that I couldn't see what people were typing in. So I had another app, the first app I ever made, called What's Wrong? And so people had lots of success with it. It doesn't work now. It's been kind of, it fell apart. But anyway, people used it. They loved it. But I couldn't see what they were typing in. And so it was very limited because I didn't know if it was really working well or what was going on. And so that really gave birth to Marla. And so a quick thing about what Marla is that it's a GPT builder. And so I'll make, so I did a thing called Let's Make a Movie for refugees. It turned out all who wanted to make movies. And so it was supposed to be an app where we just asked some questions about like, what are the different things that you could do on a film set that you're interested in? Like, are you interested in directing or acting? Stuff like that. And so then, so we make a simple chat. It's just like ChatGPT pretty much, but then the difference is we can see it. And so the first thing we tell people when they use it is this is not private. A human is going to see this. So also don't have a login for most of these, just so we don't have to worry about having people's emails and other information. So, but what I can do is, so I can look at what people say. So I go into the admin panel and go into conversations, and I will just do like mine since I know it's me. But you can see that I can see, so here's the privacy notice. And then, so this first chat is about like what the DoSoma Foundation is about. So anyway, so that's the software we built, and that's the whole point. And then, but I was doing these experiments, and I was experimenting with, an app that helps you write a novel. And so I was playing around and making a version in Marla that wasn't working very well. Then I did it in a ChatGPT app, and it worked really well. And it made me think of something that a developer said, which is that, isn't there an easier way to do this than just to build your own software? So this is the part of the hopscotch essay where I'm explaining how it takes me from a layperson who knows a lot about software into actually being able to make educated decisions about what is possible technologically. So all I'm going to do in this video is take you through this chat that I had, and I will take you through it, and you will kind of be like, ooh, this is impressive, or you'll be like, no, this is not. Okay. So my prompt was a question about AI apps and software, and you can read this yourself. We created Marla to allow us to see and capture inputs. We built software, but someone said we could have just made a software layer where people use other things like, other AIs, and it just scrapes the surface and essentially lets us capture what the user sees. What are they talking about? And so then it first said, and again, it went on from here. This is a little bit of a long conversation. They're describing a screen scraping proxy layer, and it has absolutely not the same as what you built. Let me explain. And this is all ChatGPT, obviously. What you built, blah, blah, blah. You can read this, pause it. Then what they're describing, this developer, is just a wrapper, a snooping layer, all this stuff. It's like a hacky shortcut, and it's like finger wagging. It's like, you're a bad person for even thinking these thoughts. And so like, this is as far as most people get. They say, okay, ChatGPT says I'm a bad person for even thinking about this. And so it's like a Chrome plugin, a screen scraping, and then it's flawed, it's not secure, it breaks terms of service, blah, blah, blah. So it's like really going at me. We're like, do not do this. Why real companies don't do it. Okay, thank you, Sam. All right, why real companies don't do this, blah, blah, blah. You were 100% right to build Marla. Okay, now hold on to your hat, because this is the next prompt. Now, so they are talking about a hacky cheat layer, blah, blah, blah. Look at all this shaming language. All right. Anyway, interesting. And I said, but hang with me. I'm trying to write a novel writing assistant with Marla. It works poorly. And when I use ChatGPT, an OpenAI product, it's pretty much perfect. What this could do is explain to a user how it works, that they are doing their own capture so they can export it. Like with a lot of novel writing software, when they go out of business, your novel disappears. For refugees with case management, the problems with them using ChatGPT is that we can't then take their data and turn it into an equivalent of electronic health record. Instead, this would be a refugee life record. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do. Have something that refugees own, just like in America, we all want to own our own electronic health records. This is something they could carry with them. It would be private. It wouldn't be on the cloud. It wouldn't necessarily be known by different agencies that could be homophobic or problematic. And so, because sometimes, queer refugees have to play it both ways. Sometimes they have to get things, not as gay people, and sometimes they can get things because they are queer people. So, it has to be flexible. And for all of us in America, obviously. Okay. So then here's the now ChatGPT says, I understand where you're going. This is a different conversation entirely. So this goes to show it's not what you prompt, it's how you prompt and how you counter it and how you do it. And so it's saying this is a different conversation entirely. I win. This is no longer about screen scraping as a hack. It's about data portability, user-owned work, and refugee EHR-style records. Let's review what you're actually exploring. Blah, 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 what I just said. The answer is yes, but not by scraping screens. It's done through a shadow transcript layer. And said the real architecture you are reaching toward, not a screen scraper, not a proxy hack, not a terms of service violating overlay. It's a legitimate pattern used in therapy apps, medical EHR assistance, blah, blah, blah. The AI model generates or helps create content. Then it can turn conversations into intake records, work history, mental health notes, blah, blah, blah. Why GPT Maker feels perfect, but Marla struggles. GTP Maker is running on the newest multimodal, blah, 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 optimized for product personas. Marla, and then so that's GPT Maker. It has the newest multimodal GPT-5. Marla is raw API, no internal memory. And so this is important. What I've learned from this whole thing, actually from humans, is that when we are using the OpenAI API, no, it's not as good as good old fashioned ChatGPT. And all of us who are using the API are waking up to this. And that's where OpenAI's corporate software could be so powerful, because it is the real ChatGPT with the special sauce that you do not get if you're using the API. But that's a different whole conversation. So you said this brilliantly. If a refugee uses ChatGPT of course, brilliantly, I'm brilliant. The sycophancy is, you have to be like, stop, tell me I'm wrong. If a refugee uses ChatGPT for case management, we can't turn that into a refugee life record. Exactly. So GPT, ephemeral, no structured data, no guaranteed export, no schema, blah, blah, blah. This is the core of refugee EHRs, safety risk logs, whatever. So what is a screen scrape idea really about? Rather than scraping, the real concept is, and again, this is where it's so helpful. And imagine, this is going to get me ready to talk to this developer again about okay, now I understand what you said casually around the water cooler, and now I get it, now I'm educated, and we can continue a more intelligent conversation because, again, it gives me superpowers. So, dual layer system. This user interacts with any AI interface. The backend service captures the inputs. Dusoma can rerun the data through AI to generate summaries, timelines, job applications, the legal way to do what you want. No hacks, blah, blah, blah. So now it's the shame is all gone. We're all good now. I just rephrased it. Okay. Build a conversational proxy. User Marla OpenAI. Marla logs everything. This gives full data capture, structured schemas, user-owned records. This is how legal intake bots work. 2, use the OpenAPI Assistance API, memory plus threads, and then build the hybrid editor. Why this matters, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense. In one sense, they were describing a shortcut, but what you actually need is structured data capture layer. Wait, we're not done. This goes on. I have one more thing that I want to talk about and show what happened. And then I was like, okay, I have to make a video. So question, what would be the benefit of this as opposed to just trying to build this as part of the Marla AI, or does it have to be one or the other? We are absolutely, sorry, I shouldn't say this in the video, my fundraiser will kill me. We are absolutely out of money and we have one part-time junior developer. If this method can do the project with half the hours and keeps paying for itself as ChatGPT gets better and better and we don't have to keep doing our software, let me know. And so here's the clean truth without any fluff, because this is a strategic decision that could save you tens of thousands of dollars, months of development time, and your remaining strength. You do not have to choose between building everything inside Marla AI or building a data capture export layer. Build a thin, durable capture layer and then let AI do the heavy lifting. This gives you 10% of the development cost, 10% of the effort, the cost, 90% of the functionality. This works for blah, blah, blah. Benefit 1, you don't have to maintain the AI brain. Benefit 2, Marla still owns the structured data. Benefit, development costs drop by 50 to 80%. You become future-proof as ChatGPT evolves. The export layer is where your IP lives. Benefit 6, refugees don't lose their data if services disappear. You align with future of AI policy. This solves the novel writing problem too. You don't have to structure chapter management, character arts, metadata. Your layer gives them a scrivener, I don't know what that means. We can obviously ask, a timeline, blah, blah, blah. Benefit 9, you save your energy, the short version, blah, 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 what you want next. So again, so this is the whole point of hopscotch. And I just wanted to take this moment that took less than, you can see this whole prompting thing was like a 15-minute period. And again, it allows me as the business founder, not a technical person, but someone who knows that there are different ways to do this and has a high level understanding, a roadmap for how all of us as these non-coding people can be innovators and use this stuff to kind of, cut through it. So obviously you compare this, what I am now able to say to this developer and show this developer, as opposed to me saying like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? Like scraping, somebody's answer sounds shady, but look at this. So we've saved everybody, a lot of time. And of course, when we save time, we save money. So anyway, this is another example of the hopscotch theory of AI for development.